Okay, with the draft all finished up, it's time for me to give my thoughts on how I feel like all the specialists in the draft are going to fare at their new team. So let's start off going in order. Number 1, Cade York to the Browns. I think this was a pretty ballsy pick. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're trying to follow in the footsteps of Evan Shooter McPherson. Okay, he was a junior, graduated early. Cade York is a junior that is graduating early. So I think they're saying, okay, this might be a mentality thing. We think he's going to have similar results, and the Browns can only pray that that is the case. If anything else were to happen, I think the fans would be sorely disappointed in the fact that they went and picked up this guy who may not be ready for the NFL yet. I mean, he probably is. We'll see. Only time will tell if this ends up being a good pick or not. Of course, with kickers, it can be so hit or miss because sometimes, thanks to Roberto Aguayo, we learned that sometimes what we think is the slam dunk pick ends up not quite panning out. Next, we had Jordan Stout going to the Ravens. We knew Ravens were going to go after a punter here. Sam Cook is getting old. They also had 1,000 fourth-round picks. So we're like, at least one of these are probably going to pick up a punter. Some people thought it'd be Ariza. I thought that Stout was a great match for them. He's a cold weather player. The Ravens are in Baltimore. That's not exactly the warmest state in the world. So I thought, okay, this would be a nice pickup for them. They have Justin Tucker. We'll have to see about Jordan Stout's holding ability. It should be pretty good to hold for Tucker, but that's the one thing that's a bit of a question mark with Stout. Aside from that, he has great hands. He's got a great ability to catch the ball. He's got, obviously he can punt it pretty dang well, and he's probably the most well-rounded punter on the list. And even if he wants to, he can take some of that kickoff pressure off Tucker if need be. We'll just have to see about that. Next, we've got Jake Camarda to the Bucks. I thought this was a phenomenal pickup. If you're going to replace Bradley Pinion, which with a pick like this has me thinking they're going to replace him, you're going to want a cheaper option who's at least somewhat as consistent on kickoffs. Now, you might be thinking that we'd be talking about punters since Jake is a punter, but Bradley is the most consistent kickoff leg in the NFL, and quite frankly, I'm not sure it's that close. So when looking to replace him, his punting ability, you only have to get a little bit better. He did not put up the best punting stats, regardless of the fact that he has a great ceiling. He just hasn't been the most consistent, phenomenal punter for the Buccaneers. However, his kickoffs have been automatic, so you want to be looking for somebody to replace him on that avenue. I think Jake Camarda has a phenomenal kickoff leg. That's where I think he really shines. That's why I thought he's a really good replacement for him, and he was also the most talented punter at that level after Jordan Stout hadn't got picked up. I'm sure Jordan Stout was on their list too. Next, round 6, pick 1, coming in clutch, the Bills pick up Matt Ariza. Now look, I know notoriously in the past I have seemed very critical of Matt Ariza. I think he's a great punter. I still think he's going to do good things. But the Bills is who he's going to. Now, don't get me wrong. Matt Ariza can kick the ball far, but I thought he was going to be the Bucks pickup 100% because of his kickoff ability and because he's a warm weather player. I mean, he played in San Diego. I think probably the coldest game he played in was maybe like 40 degrees. Now he's going to one of the harshest, most punishing environments in the NFL. That's going to be a tough sell for me. Also, Tyler Bass, notoriously a very picky man when it comes to who's holding the ball for him, which is why they went from Bajorquez to Hack and now moving on to Ariza. Potentially, if Ariza can win the job. Ariza did not hold for his 4 years of being in college. In fact, he started off as a place kicker, then went to punting his last year. Now he's working with Novak on his holding ability, so that should be something that works in his favor. But that one was a tough one for me to get behind, just because of everything he's had to go through. I'm not sure if Matt Ariza has been in California his whole life. He's probably never sniffed 10 degrees, much less the negative 10 degree side of Buffalo that he will have to very quickly come and see. So we'll just have to see how this one plays out. I think that was a very risky pick on their part. Going over to the last specialist picked up in this draft, Trent Gill. Trent Gill, this is, okay, I'm not going to lie. This pick has grown on me a lot. It surprised me at first, kind of put me off because I don't think he was the best punter at the position available. But when you look at all the factors of playing in Chicago, many of you guys have told me Chicago is not the windy city because of how windy it is. So thank you for that. But there is still wind there. Wind is a factor in that stadium. And he hits that low line drive punt that I think plays really well into the wind. He's got good direction, good placement, a couple, bag of trick punts that he can bring out at any time. And on top of that, he kicks off, which is something that he can do that adds to his value. And just quite frankly, I think that does make him very valuable, especially for the Bears, who might be looking to replace Bajorquez with this pickup. And on top of that, Bajorquez has bounced around from team to team, and I have a feeling it has something to do with his holding capabilities. So that is why I think the Bears brought him in, is to be able to be a good holder, because I think Trent Gill holds pretty well. So there you go. There's my thoughts on how these guys actually are going to fare for their team. Just a little bit of what I was thinking about the specialists in this draft, and I'm going to get to the specialists in UDFA soon. So hope you guys are having a good one, and peace.
Fair catch. Clean.